Cheers, I do, buckaroos. And how the heck are you? You know who I am. We know, Tom. We just don't care. Anyway, what is sure I was going to do a video tonight. We're doing some things tomorrow, but I needed a little alcohol to bring down the amount of caffeine I had to ingest to be able to stay up this evening and work. So anyway, I was tired, man. So I brought two bottles of iced tea, and then one bottle of Coke, and that kind of got me through the night. So now I need a little bit of alcohol to balance that, 'cause I want to go to bed, man. So, anyways, I digress. Let me fix something real fast, and then we will get on with it. How's everybody doing tonight? I am Tom Beer and Whiskey Whisperer. Sure, it was working. There we go. All righty, and on with it. And on with it. Anyway, so I digress. So I just poured. I had one of these left. A double two hearted, double American IPA at I believe that says 11%. It's a big one. It is hoppy as all hell, but it's also malty as all hell. Either it is. I don't want to use the word balanced, but there is enough malt to keep the hops and a little bit of check. It does pour beautifully, though. Look how gorgeous that beer looks. Oh my goodness! But I also poured myself. I was in the mood for some really good whiskey, and I have been enamored ever since I started trying them. American single malt whiskeys. I just love single malt whiskeys. Uh, and I love what a lot of smaller American distilleries are doing with them. This one in particular, I like a lot. I really love Union Horse. You've heard me talk about them for several years, but this one is relatively new from them. The Rivalist American Single Malt Whiskey. This one at 96 proof. Let me show you that bottle. I would love to find a cask version of that. I don't know if they make one, but boy, a cask version of that. Oh gosh. So I poured about 2.5 ounces in my Jim Beam neat glass here. Yeah, you can use a Glencairn if you want. I'm kind of, these glasses were designed for neat drinking whiskey. Glencairn is good, um, but I don't know that it's 100% necessary. Sometimes it's just about what glass you want to look at, to be honest with you, because I'm getting the aromas just fine from this glass. Mm. I really like this one a lot. It is rather complex. I don't know that I can read. My old eyes are hurting tonight. Rivalist American Single Malt Whiskey is a small batch artisanal whiskey made from 100% malted barley. And that's what I really like. I love that 100% malted barley. Oh my goodness. This stuff is just absolutely gorgeous. It says handcrafted from start to finish using the finest Midwest barley in our copper pot still, then aged to perfection in new oak barrels. That's why you really see that pigment there, as opposed to like single malt Irish, which is a little bit lighter, typically anyway. Beautifully complex and elegantly simple. Yeah, I think that does describe it rather well. There's some complex notes, but it all comes together very well. It's an absolutely gorgeous whiskey. To be honest with you, if I'm not doing a video, it takes me probably about 45 minutes to an hour to drink a pour like this. The reason being, I'm usually just take it up and check the nose for at least 20 minutes before I even take that first sip. I like to just let it sip, get myself ready for the beauty that is this whiskey. It's absolutely gorgeous, man. Union Horse is one of my favorite distilleries. I love them. I'm also a big fan of Restless Spirits in that Kansas City area as well. Union Horse out of Lenexa, Kansas, but it's all, it's very close to Kansas City. Then you got Restless Spirits I really like as well. I'm going to sit that down and just dine on that aroma for a little bit as I pick this beer up and change gears. My nose is itching tonight. You feel those big hops, right? But also feel some malt. Almost feels like you get a hint of honey in there. Oh, last song on the radio in the car. The last song on the radio in the car, just as I was getting home, was the Bee Gees on one of my mixes. Dice on Broadway. Now I can't get that song out of my head now. I was trying to find something here. No, okay, there we go. A little gnat rolling around, and I didn't want them to end up in my drinks. I wanted to cover that up. Didn't want them to end up in that good whiskey. No bastard didn't get any of my good whiskey. Anyways, hey, anybody have any questions or comments? Throw it up there. I'll answer just about anything unless you're just a dick. If you're just going to be an asset, no, I'm not going to give you a platform. Other than that, I'm pretty straightforward. I'm an open book. Anybody that's seen any of my videos knows that. I am a fan of so back to Union Horse. I'm a big fan of that distillery. But since I'm having the beer, I guess I should talk about the beer Bell's. The Bell's is kind of that classic, right? And of course, they're known for that hop slam, which is a completely different animal than this. But this thing is just absolutely gorgeous. I think for me, anyway, for my taste buds, I think I like it better than the hop slam because I like the body of this particular beer. I like the excessive hops with that amount of malt going on here. It is very malty. 20 years ago, it probably just would have been called an American barley wine. Even if it takes a lifetime. I can't get that song out of my head. Takes a lifetime. Ah, get that falsetto going. Blame it on. That's on Broadway. Blame it on the that's on. Anyways, I digress. But I digress, man. A little punchy. I had to have a lot of caffeine to be able to stay up. I was really tired. Now I've got to bring that caffeine level down. Oh, got a rare weekend off, so wife and I are going to spend some time together. Maybe go for a little drive. And the schedule being as such, just returning to work, I wasn't able to do much for our anniversary on September 24th. So I kind of got a, late anniversary thing going on tomorrow. We'll just got the weekend off, so we're going to spend some time together, do some things we both enjoy, just relax, man, just wind down. Been wound tight the last few weeks. Returning to my regular job, balancing that and the second job has been a little trickier than I hoped. Trying to figure out that balance. Yeah, that stuff is beyond gorgeous. Oh man, that whiskey is seven. So forgetting about the aromas and the flavors for just a second, the mouthfeel, the texture. Ah, man, this thing is just gorgeous. It is just how you want it to be. Not too thin, not too viscous. Again, it's 96 proof, and oh, it is just 100% gorgeous. I love those 100% barley notes, though, man. That malted barley is just gorgeous. The sweetness, though, again, it just feels so silky smooth. Almost feel like somewhere between maple and honey, right? Like if you just had a light mix of both of them together, a little honey, a little maple, not heavy on either. Just that little bit of sweetness right at the end. A lot of oak and spice in the finish, but a little different than typical. Right? But getting a lot of cinnamon like you typically do. Definitely getting a hint of ginger though. Certainly gonna get some vanilla from that barrel. Kind of goes without saying. You may pick up some dark fruit notes. That's between you and your taste buds. And I say that because you're not going to taste things you don't know, right? If you don't eat dates, you're not going to taste dates. If you don't eat figs, you're not going to taste figs. So any of those things may pop up. You may even feel raisin. It just depends on you and your palate, to be honest with you. Because again, you're not going to taste things you don't know. I feel like I'm right there. I just got a little hint of stone fruit, a nectarine in particular, which is really isn't typical. Sometimes you get plum, but yeah, it's a little nectarine right there. Maybe a very overripe nectarine. Let's put a slightly finer point on it. Even if it takes a lifetime. Ah. Can't get that song out of my head now. Blame it on, blame it on Nights on Broadway. Blame it on the Nights on Broadway. You know, sorry, can't help it, man. I got a song in my heart. Anyway, can't get there's a lot of song playing before I came in the house. So I can't get that tune out of my head, man. It was thought to be a little nerdy, a little cheesy at the time, I guess. But looking back, I like a lot of those songs now that I really didn't like when they came out, to be honest with you. But now I listen to songs like Jive Talking. Love that tune. It's brilliant. Nights on Broadway. I'm still not a fan of Staying Alive. That was one of those wildly overproduced disco hits, but there was a lot of good stuff in there. Staying Alive was capitalizing on what was popular at the time, so I can't really blame them for going for the cash. But I always liked The Nights on Broadway, one of my favorite tunes, even though it was a bit stalkerish. It's a bit stalkerish, I ain't gonna lie. But I think beyond the stalkerish tone, uh, there's a song about a man who cares for a particular woman, and things just aren't going the way he likes them to go at that particular moment in time. Anyway, that sounds a little stalkerish, huh? Even if it takes a lifetime. Ah, I blame it on. Oh goodness, I got a sneeze stick. I think I fought my nose. I got a sneeze stick in there, trying to get it out. Went up to Kansas City area back in August, right around August 11th, so about 2.5 months ago now. But I picked this up. I actually bought two bottles of it, and I but I opened one, almost immediately as soon as we got to where we were staying that particular evening, because I was dying to try it. But I bought two, knowing that I didn't know when I'd get back up to the Kansas City area, and I knew I just wanted to put a bottle away. So, but this is how far I'm into it. I hadn't actually got into it right away, but I hadn't drank any in a few weeks because I didn't want to pound through it, but was really feeling it tonight. I was really in the mood for this particular whiskey. I've really been enamored by the American single malts. Really been, of course, bourbon is big with everybody now at this particular moment. I wish it wasn't, but that's a conversation for another. I do love bourbon, I really do. But over the past a year or so, I've really been getting into rye whiskeys. But now I've really enjoyed all the American single malts. So I've got a combination of those things on hand. There's some rye, some American single malt, some bourbon. But anytime I can find a different American single malt, I am picking it up because I just love what I do love what some of the small American distilleries are doing with the idea of the single malt whiskey. And it's much different than its counterparts across the sea. It's much different than an Irish or a Scotch single malt, for instance. American single malt is quite a different animal, and I love that. And I also love the different interpretations of a single malt from different distilleries. For instance, when I had last night, the Gully Town American single malt, As you can see, it's much lighter. This one is aged in much the same way you would age an Irish single malt, so it drinks very similar to an Irish. This one's a little bolder, but I don't want to use the term better because sometimes I'm in the mood for this. So I don't know that one's better than the other, but they're both very distinctly different, and that's what I love about this whole whiskey revolution, right? All these small distilleries popping up because everybody's got their own idea of what kind of whiskey they want to do. And this one is just brilliant. But I am getting those maple notes really on the nose now. I get a little maple honey. And now I'm feeling cinnamon on the nose. I wasn't feeling that earlier, but now I'm really feeling cinnamon on the nose. But again, without beleaguering a point here, I really love for me, it's not just the aromas, it's not just the flavors, it's not just the appearance, which is very satisfying for me, is that mouthfeel, the texture. It's just a pleasing whiskey to drink. Oh man, it is just absolutely delicious. Yeah, I didn't want a cocktail tonight. I want some whiskey, right? I just wanted to pour. I thought about pouring 3 ounces, and no, I don't need quite that much. So it's an ounce and a half glass. So I poured an ounce and a half in there. That I kind of went a little short on the other one, so it's about 2.5 ounces, I'm guessing. So I left it about just a little bit short of that 3 ounce mark. Didn't need that much. This is going to be it. It's going to be the one video, one beer, one whiskey. That's it for tonight. Just wanted it to help bring that caffeine level down so I can get some sleep. Wife and I can get up. I want to get up early per se. I want to be able to sleep in a little bit, but we kind of want to get on the road too. So to go for a nice little drive, have some fun. Just enjoy some time together. Just wind down with no immediate stress. Work's another day. Work's not till Monday, so we can forget about that. That stress that stress is going to be there. I'm just going to put that on a shelf until Monday morning, right? Uh, Make it like it was before. Even I wish I could get another tune in my head, but that's the one that's stuck there right now. For those of you, I'm not really in this nice little house behind me. I know most of you know that, but um, I'm not trying to fool anybody. I'm just, putting a backdrop like a lot of TV shows do, a lot of, talk shows. They'll have a fake background behind there. Yeah, this is my, fake green screen. Got to put a little, try just create a little ambiance. Have a little cocktail, or in this case, some whiskey, some beer, just relaxing, man. Oh man, there's that sneeze there, and I can't quite get it out. I know it's right there. There we go. Uh, Not sure if I'm done or not. Anyway, I digress. Oh goodness, I got a big nose, so it tends to be a really big sneeze. To be honest with you, those are pretty mild for me. I sometimes I shake a room, man. Make it like it was before, even if it takes a lifetime. Takes a lifetime. Ah, I blame it on. Oh, mercy. I blame it on. And that's on Broadway. Anyway, maybe I'll find a karaoke bar tomorrow. Get it out of my system. I haven't done that in a long time, a lot of years. I used to. There was a, of course, into the new millennium and first few years in the 2000s, karaoke was kind of a big thing. My voice has changed a lot since then, though. Yeah, it's gotten very gravelly. A lot of that because of severe acid reflux, kind of scar the vocal cords. Right, I've got that kind of, I got a nice blues growl going on. I can almost, well, I was gonna say I can almost do a Steve Marriott, but I can't get quite that high. I can't get those highs. It's almost like an octave lower Steve Marriott. Who's Steve Marriott, Tom? I'm not even going to answer that. I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to justify that. Anyway, you got to look it up for yourself. Steve Marriott was a genius, man. He was an unsung hero, in my opinion. Small faces, humble pie. Steve Marriott should have got a whole lot more credit than he did. Well, if there was ever a band not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that deserves to be there, is Humble Pie. And those that want to cite the reasons they shouldn't be there are going to cite album sales, but I say it's more than that. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should be about impact. Humble Pie, Small Faces, Humble Pie had big impact on other bands at the time. And the impact that Steve Marriott alone had on rock and roll, he should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But no, we got other folks in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We got folks in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that aren't even rock and roll artists. We're missing Link Ray. Link Ray is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. One of the greatest Native American artists of our time. If you don't know who Link Ray is, you really need to look him up. The man was a genius and way ahead of his time. Rumble is famous for the tune Rumble. And if you don't know the song Rumble, it was an instrumental. Even though it was instrumental, it was banned because it might cause riots. There's no lyrics to the song. So people were saying, this music can cause a ruckus. Link Ray is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but we got a handful of other artists that have no business being there. Anyways, I wasn't planning on getting that high horse, but somehow it entered my head. It irritates me though. There's a whole lot of artists that ought to be there that aren't there, and we've got a whole lot of artists that shouldn't be there that are. I don't understand the purpose of, or maybe the method. Maybe the methods were what I'm looking for. I wish they'd have been methodical like Sports Hall of Fame. Start with a specific decade and work forward. But they didn't do that. They kind of hopscotched all over the place in a manner that just didn't make any sense. They should have looked at all the influential artists from the 40s and 50s. Why 40s, Tom? Because it's those blues artists that influenced the artists that became rock and roll stars, right? Because without Muddy Waters, without Howlin' Wolf, without Little Walter, without a lot of these guys, we wouldn't have had some of the artists that we had. We wouldn't have had Chuck Berry, for one. We certainly wouldn't have had Jimi Hendrix, and there are several others. And that's my issue with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is that it just doesn't make sense. They didn't go at it methodically. They said, okay, what are the core artists that really ought to be there to start with? Who do we really need? Let's look at all the artists that influenced all these other artists. Muddy Waters should be in the Hall of Fame. Because Muddy Waters influenced the Yardbirds, the Led Zeppelin, and many, well, almost every rock act of the 60s and early 70s. Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Little Walter. Gosh, there are so many others. Even a lot of more contemporary blues artists really ought to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Why should blues artists be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Because you've got country artists in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right now. You've got soul artists and R&B artists. So yes, why not add blues artists? Why are we not putting these people in there? Why is Luther Allison not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Because he certainly deserves to be there more than a whole lot of other folks that are there. I'm going to get fired up now. Just frustrates me to no end. Anyway, I'm going to try to focus back on when I start talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I really get pissed off to no end. I guess there's so many artists that aren't there that should be, and there are so many artists that are there that have no business being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I just get mad. I see if something got in my drink. I tried to keep it covered, but there's little gnats or something. When they want some whiskey, they going in. They're gonna find a way. Anyway, let me show you this bottle here. Gosh, I really like this stuff. Union Horse Distilling Company out of Lenexa, Kansas. American single malt whiskey. This stuff is beyond special. I gotta tell you, it is just amazing. The main reason I bought 2 bottles because I had no idea when I'd ever get back to Kansas City. It's only about 3 hours from here, but it's just not a direction we go often. But man, the products are amazing between Restless Spirits and Union Horse. And now there's another one out there I found last time we were up there called Lifted Spirits. I wasn't aware of until August. I said, "Oh man, you guys got a lot of stuff going on." Make it like it was before, even if it takes a lifetime. Takes a lifetime. I blame it. Anyways, you're losing the grip, Tom. Anyway, oh god, this stuff is just amazing. I just love the aromatics. Can you be more pretentious, Tom? It smells good. How about that? It just smells good. I love the aromatics. The nose is something special. It smells good. There's old Blake Clark. Blake Clark's a brilliant stand-up comic. He had this bit back in the, I was gonna say early '90s, but it might have even been the late '80s. To be honest with you, he was talking about being from Georgia today when he said when Shakespeare troops would come through, they'd have to have an interpreter on the side. So it's, to be or not to be, the interpreter would say, "I don't know whether to shit or go blind." The great Blake Clark, the man was a genius. Another underrated, unsung comedy hero, in my opinion. Speaking of unsung comedy heroes, I love George Carlin. I do. George Carlin was brilliant. So was Richard Pryor. Those guys were awesome. But there's a guy that precedes them that often gets overlooked for a lot of reasons because, I mean, they silenced him. They tried to erase his existence. That is Lenny Bruce. Without Lenny Bruce, there would be no George Carlin. George Carlin wouldn't have had the ability to do the material he did if Lenny Bruce didn't break those barriers down and get shut down for it. They just silenced Lenny Bruce. They tried to erase Lenny Bruce from history. Uh, but without Lenny Bruce, we wouldn't have some of the comics we have now. We certainly wouldn't have had George Carlin. We probably wouldn't have had Richard Pryor, uh, Bill Hicks. I mean, every cutting edge comic would not be around if Lenny Bruce wasn't there to break down those barriers in the first place. Even if it takes. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, Whiskey Drinker, Purveyor Wisdom Man. Now we'll finish up my beer. My Bell's Two Hearted. Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. We're going to shut it down for this Friday. This is all I'm going to do tonight. It was a longer video than planned as well, to be honest with you. But I didn't want to pound the whiskey. I didn't want to pound the beer. These videos are never about drinking fast. They're not always even about what I'm drinking, to be honest with you. Sometimes just about what's on my mind. As you know, we heard my my various rants this evening. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But I feel like that's what good beer and good whiskey does or should do is create a conversation. I think a lot of what's the word I'm looking? A lot of social media today. We call it social media, but a lot of it is designed to make us antisocial, to not be able to connect with actual people because we're connecting this way. So as much as I want to talk about Bell's Two Hearted and Union Horse Rifle, sometimes it's just about having a conversation and connecting with people on a different level. And I wish a lot of actual places would concentrate more on that. A lot of brew pubs, distilleries, concentrate on bringing people in and designing that conversation, getting people talking, and bring people in to be friends and family, rather than just bringing them in to sell them something. Because I think that's how you create a brand, right? But if you do it that way, you create more than a brand. If you bring people in not just to sell them something, but to become part of a family, then it becomes something more. Anyways, I digress. But I digress. Before I get philosophical on your ass, I'm going to call it an evening. It's an evening. I am Tom, the beer whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and all around good guy. Slot you.